Ted Cruz for standing up against Obamacare and insisting that the Republican establishment fight it. And he was brutalized and he was trashed. Now Rand Paul is standing up and he's raising honest questions. Honest questions about the federal government. I don't agree with every position that Rand Paul takes, but why are we trashing him for raising honest questions about certain of these matters? And he's used some provocative language. I might not have used it, but I've used provocative language before about other things. But that said, the NSA gathering all of our phone numbers, ladies and gentlemen, when the Patriot Act was first voted on, members of Congress didn't even know the NSA was doing that. The NSA did that on its own. And I do not support the NSA gathering up everybody's phone number, looking for patterns and so forth and so on without more. And it's amazing to me how many conservatives have just bought into this. Should the federal government be monitoring all of our travels, everybody's cars, just in case somebody's kidnapping, just in case somebody's running drugs? Can't we expect them to have just a little bit more? The federal government does abuse its power. We're conservatives, don't we believe that? Whether it's the EPA, the Interior Department, and so forth and so on, the so-called Civil Rights Division, of course it abuses its power. That's why Denny Hastert's being prosecuted. The guy was blackmailed. He's not being charged for whatever he did causing the blackmail. He's being charged with these, he structured his money. Structured his money to do what? To pay a blackmailer. So what? And I could go on and on, couldn't I? So they're right in this respect. And by the way, Ted Cruz, I believe Mike Lee as well, have proposed what I have been proposing since this was first leaked, which is those phone numbers remain in the private hands of private corporations who own them in the first place. The federal government should not nationalize them, should not seize them. And then, if there's a reason to get them, whether it's 1 or 1,001 or 100,001, go to a court and explain it. Well, Mark, it might be too late. It might be too late, then we'll be attacked. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. Do you really believe that? Having lived through 9/11, where we had individuals in this country, some of whom overstayed their visas, some of whom were never supposed to be here. How about the Fort Hood mass murder with the Islamo-Nazi there? They had all the goods on this guy. They didn't need to track his phone numbers. What did they do? Nothing. We're so wound up with political correctness, chasing people's phone numbers. You're going to have to do a little better than that to convince me. We don't profile the enemy. Our borders are wide open. We don't deport. We don't enforce. We're now importing individuals from the Middle East by the tens of thousands and sprinkling them all over the country. We have an FBI director who says he has investigations going on in 50 states. We have people coming in here from North Africa, East Africa, terrorist locations. You're not even allowed to bring it up. So don't tell me this NSA massive collection of phone numbers and pattern watching and so forth is going to save the country when there are basic steps on the front lines, on the border, in front of our faces that we won't take. I don't need to hear from Lindsey Graham, the phony hawk. Complete fraud. I don't need to hear from him, Mr. Amnesty, when it comes to America's security, where he poses as some great big national security expert. He's no national security expert. He's an idiot. Now, as I said, I don't agree with everything that Rand Paul says. But so what? He won on the Senate floor, and he said, we're going to talk about this. And he talked about it. But you're not allowed to do that. No. You're not allowed to do that. You got to be trashed. You got to be destroyed. I don't support a lot of his foreign policy, but so what? This was an important exercise. And it is an important exercise, in my humble opinion. And it should have been undertaken. If not now, when? A robust Patriot Act will be renewed, and I support that. There are other elements in this law that have been argued about. The so-called lone wolf provision, where the feds can track somebody who may not necessarily belong to a terrorist organization, but they have some questions about it. That doesn't bother me. There again, we've identified an individual. Good. Or the roving tap, the roving wiretap, they call it, the roving interception of some guy's phone number. Look, I don't have that problem either once you've gotten your warrant. I'll tell you why. Again, you're focused on one individual who may be a problem. But all of us aren't a problem. Well, Mark, how are they going to find the needle in the haystack? Start with the basics. It's called investigations. And ladies and gentlemen, we know this bloated central government enough. They don't even have the capacity to review everything they're grabbing as they distract themselves. Well, that's my position anyway.